One of the most important systems in Warframe you need to get comfortable with is modding. Modding is Warframe. The sooner you realize that, the better as a newer player. It's why Warframe is so successful and popular, because the system allows you to have this giant sandbox playground to create so many different builds and options, and that is what makes it so good. This video is going to be an introductory video to modding so you understand the basics and have a framework to work off of. But first, we need to talk about what is new, a little quick catch up if you would call that. Since my last beginner video, Warframe has some new player changes. The first one being the Junction UI rework, which now looks a lot better. The menus are easier to see, the UI just looks better overall. The quests are easier to read and so on. Quests and rewards have been changed here and there. You will need to complete all rewards before gaining access to the new Junction. There have also been a few quest changes as well, which I will not go over since you can just simply experience them for the first time as per normal. However, I do want to mention that the Archwing quest now gives you a fully built Archwing launcher after completing the quest. This is very, very important. Lastly, the Captain Vor boss fight has been reworked on Mercury. Okay, that is all you need to know. So if you followed episode 1 and 2 and noticed some changes, these are the main things that you need to know. Also, one thing to take note is Digital Extremes is adding a beginner modding quest which will come later this year. I don't know how in depth it's going to be, so if you are watching this at a later time, you can let me know in the comments below if the quest is very good and explains everything. What is the importance of modding and what is it? Like I said in the intro, modding is Warframe. You run missions, kill enemies, farm mods, put mods on weapons and Warframes to make them stronger. This is how you get stronger in Warframe and what creates a somewhat linear-ish progression system in Warframe. Do not ignore modding. It is very overwhelming in the beginning as a new player, but the quicker you get comfortable with it, the better. We will go over everything you need to know in this video. Let's start with Warframes, shall we? Head on over to your arsenal and select the Warframe you want. I have chosen Hydroid. This is a rank 0 Hydroid. Remember, each Warframe can have a max rank of 30. Select Upgrade and you are greeted with this menu right here, which you're probably opened already. Here you'll see all these mod slots, a bunch of numbers on the left, weird icons all over the place, mods at the bottom, and more. Don't worry, we're going to walk you through all of this. On the left here is your Warframe stats. The top ones are pretty self-explanatory, being your health, shield, armor, energy, and sprint speed. The nice thing here is the E is constantly working towards helping newer players, so a bunch of UI changes have been added to the game. If you hover over each stat, there will be a description or a brief explanation of what each stat does. Take your time and read each of these descriptions so you have a basic understanding. Another very important and amazing feature to take note is that you can actually click on the stat and it will immediately search the respective mods in the list below. Please do not forget this is incredibly handy for modding. Then we move on to the ability stats. As you can see, there are 4 ability stats for Warframes: duration, efficiency, range, and strength. Hover over each of them and it will explain what each of them do. These stats are pretty self-explanatory and they are incredibly important because they directly affect how strong your Warframe's abilities will be and how they perform in missions. As you level your Warframes, you get rank bonuses seen by this little tab over here. The 5 icons below this are a small preview window of the Warframe's passive and 4 abilities. I just want to make a quick note here, ability stats do not affect Warframe's passives. Just want to make that clear. As you begin to mod your Warframe and start adding onto the ability stats, you can see how each stat will affect each ability in this little preview window. For example, Tempest Barrage does 150 damage at base. I throw on Intensify, which increases the ability strength, and now suddenly it deals 195 damage with 130% ability strength. Same thing with the other abilities. It's important that you remember to check how each of these will affect each ability. The reason I'm emphasizing this so early on in the game is simply because the sooner you learn how this works, the sooner you can already start making certain builds that you enjoy. Alright. So we've covered the left side with all the scary numbers. Don't worry, after you've given it a go a few times, it becomes less scary and actually starts to make sense. Let's move on to the middle now. Here we see 8 open mod slots and 2 slots on the top. The top mod slot with the symbol on it is called the Aura slot. Every Warframe has an Aura slot in it. Aura mods are mods that affect you and your entire squad and will provide a passive bonus in missions. The one on the right is an Exodus slot, which is generally used for utility-based mods. The 8 mods below are used to build whatever you want. Don't worry too much about the arcanes on the right side, just for the sake of this video, just ignore them. Let's talk about capacity. As we bring our attention to the number on the top left here, this is our capacity. Everything in Warframe when it comes to modding boils down to capacity. It pretty much relies on it. When you hover over or look at any mod, you will notice a number on the top right of it. That number is the capacity drain for said mod. I have 19 capacity here at rank 0. The base capacity starts at 15, and for every 2 mastery ranks, you will gain a base mod capacity. So for example, at MR4, you will have +2 base capacity, which will then bring it to 17 when something is rank 0. If I move to MR6, then it will add more so that my base capacity is now 18. You get the idea here. This is another reason to level up your master rank, as it helps with modding. However, putting the base capacity aside, as you begin to level up High Droid or the Warframe you're currently looking at, you will see the capacity will begin to rise, capping out at 30 when you reach max rank. No matter your master rank or base capacity, you will always get 30 capacity at max rank. If I place Intensify in one of these open mod slots, you will see the capacity will drain by 11, which leaves us with 8 mod capacity. You're probably wondering, how on earth are you supposed to fill all of the mod slots with such low capacity? Well, that's where aura slots come in. Dreamer's Bond is an aura that you get fairly early on, and I suggest you keep using it on your Warframes for some time because it's quite handy to have. When you place Dreamer's Bond into the aura slot, you will see it will increase the capacity for your Warframe. Now we have 33 max capacity, but there is one more thing when it comes to capacity. If you head on over to the Actions tab in the bottom right, you will see 4 boxes. Don't worry about the other ones yet, I'll explain them in a moment. The one we want to focus on is the upgrade one that says buy Orokin Reactor for 20 platinum. These are used to double your mod capacity. So if I buy this now, it will double the base mod capacity, and this means that when you have reached max rank with this Warframe, you will have 60 mod capacity without the aura, and if you add the aura slot in, you get an extra 14 to 16 mod capacity depending on the aura, bringing you to an average of 74 mod capacity at max. You can farm Orokin Reactors in-game via different events and other special missions, or buying them with Platinum. We will be talking about Platinum in a future episode. This leads me onto Polarities. You would have noticed these little symbols on each of these mods. These little shapes or symbols are known as polarities in Warframe. Polarization or polarities are a vital system in the game, and you will always be using this. There are 3 main ones: Madurai, Vazarin, and Naramon. I like to think of it as Y, upside down D, and dash. That's a great way to remember it. You can see the mods with the respective polarities in these tabs below. What do these polarities do? Well, they half the mod capacity of mods with the matching polarity. So if I take Intensify, that is now draining 11 capacity, and place it into this matching Madurai polarity here, because it's the same symbol, you will see it now drains 6. This is how you are able to max your mods and still maintain the huge amount of drain some of these mods take. Some higher level mods will drain up to 16 mod capacity. This is why we use polarities to match these mods so that they half the capacity. If you match the wrong polarity, it will give you a penalty by increasing the mod drain, which is something you never want. But the nice thing is you get a little icon telling you that you've made a mistake and what the actual polarity is in that mod slot. All you need to remember is just match the shapes. That's it. Next up is Forma. You're probably wondering how you get these polarities onto the mod slots. You can make polarities by using a special resource called Forma. You will hear this everywhere in guides and so on. Forma is used to place the polarity symbol you want on open mod slots. You can also replace existing ones too. You farm Forma via running relics to gain the blueprints and craft them in the foundry, or you can buy them in packs with platinum in the market. Please only buy the packs of 3. If you are, do not buy the single Forma. This is a newbie mistake, but also do not waste your platinum on Forma, please. Rather do this much later on in the game when you have access to good platinum farms. Do not do it so early on in the game. This is for much later. I just wanted to teach you now that don't make the mistake of buying a single Forma. Always be building Forma. If you farm it, you'll be using a lot in this game. Now, we haven't gone over Void Relics just yet. We will in a future episode, so just hang in there until I get to that, but I just want to show you where you get Forma. When you have built a Forma, you will need to max rank the Warframe. Once you have done that, you can head on over to the Actions tab and select Forma. Here, a menu will pop up with the mods, allowing you to choose the mod slot you want. All you do is just keep clicking until you have the polarity you want, and then you say you're done. When you are done, your Warframe or weapon will be reset to rank 0. And then you will need to re-level your Warframe or weapon. And you rinse and repeat this process until you have the desired amount of polarities, and Forma sunk into the frame and weapon. When you have put a forma in, you gain the option to swap the polarities that you have already placed if you need to. We now also have Omni Forma, which is a special forma that allows any polarity to go on it, which it will then half its capacity. Just something extra for you to know, it's not super important. Okay, that covers polarities, that covers forma. Later on in the video, I'll give you a framework for modding, but for now, as long as you understand how that works, then you can start having fun and trying new things. Before we go further, if I can ask that you hit that like button, as it will help to spread the video to new players and teach them how to play the game. Now let's talk about weapons. More specifically, primaries and secondary. The capacity, polarities, forma system is the exact same thing. The only thing that is different with weapons is you have specific mods for each weapon category. For example, primaries, secondaries, and melees all have different mods, and then there are some subcategories too, like shotguns, bows, sniper rifles, and so on. Also, weapons are not affected by the rank bonuses that you would normally get for Warframes. The only thing that you gain from ranking a weapon is capacity and master rank points. Weapons will always be the full stats from the get-go. Let's look at the Karak for example. Weapons will have 8 mod slots and 1 Exodus slot. They do not have any aura slots. Weapon stats are a little different. Damage is a whole different ballgame in Warframe and deserves its own video. I'm going to explain damage briefly and go in depth in another video, so please just take everything I'm about to say with a pinch of salt and then wait for that video where I explain everything a bit more in depth. You have your main utility stats, which is like fire rate, magazine reload, and so on. You can hover over these stats to see what they do. And then we move on to the damage section, which has crit chance, crit damage, and status chance. Now, status chance is quite confusing, and there is a lot to talk about here and how all the status effects and damage types work in Warframes. So I'm going to save that for the damage guide. So for now, don't worry too much about it. Now moving on to melees. Melees are a little different compared to primaries and secondaries. All the modding stats are the same in terms of its damage and so on, but melees have stance mods that will ultimately change how the weapon feels and performs. Stances give you new movement sets for different melees and different damage bonuses too. Melees also have different mods and mechanics entirely. I don't want to go too in depth with this because you don't need to know everything as a beginner. I just wanted to touch on it in this video in case you got a bit overwhelmed with the melee. Now we move on to Endo. After all of this info I just dumped on you, there is one very important thing I have left until now: how to upgrade your mods. When you get a mod, it will be unranked. Each mod has a certain number of max ranks. Some mods can go up to 10, some only 5. You can see this by the little star icons on each mod. To level up your mods, you will need a very important resource called Endo. Endo is a very important resource to get as a beginner, and you will need a lot of it, so it's important not to waste it and learn how to manage your Endo accordingly. Some early Endo farms that I would suggest are the following. Endo is farmed via missions in-game or just by simply killing enemies. My first suggestion would be running excavation missions like Everest and Killican, and then when you reach MR5, you can do Takal on Earth. All you need to do is finish the first extractor and extract, and you have a high chance of gaining 100 Endo. These should take you about 2-ish minutes per run. Then as you progress towards Deimos, you will unlock Deimos bounties. If your gear is strong enough to do tier 1 bounties, complete the first round and simply extract. You have a high chance of gaining 150 Endo for a quick run. This is of course if you progressed a little bit towards Deimos, and you will need to complete the quest. And of course if you're actually strong enough to complete the tier 1 bounties. If you're not, leave it for now and come back to it later. After you've completed the new strange quest, you will gain access to Cephalon Samaras. Now Cephalon Samaras will give you daily synthesis tasks. If you haven't completed the quest, you can skip over the section because it won't make any sense. But if you have completed it, when you go up to him and ask him for the daily synthesis task, you can have a chance of getting between 250 to 800 Endo on completing that task. A very, very good early game farm that is really decent for a brand new player. One more method that I would suggest is dissolving duplicate mods. You can do this by going over to the mod tab and selecting duplicates. As a new player, I would suggest clicking them one by one and leaving one copy so that if you ever need the mod, you at least have it. The rest you can all simply sell as duplicates. At MR 8 or 9, I'm not 100% sure, you can gain access to a quick select feature which allows you to actually easily select all of the duplicates and leave one copy and simply sell all of them in a click of a button. Super handy to have and useful as you play the game. Now I do want to say I have made an ultimate Endo guide where I go over all of the beginner farms if you want to go and check that video out. That video is for early game players all the way to the end game. Finally, leveling your mods. Now, once you have farmed some Endo from your missions, head on over to the mod tab or your modding screen in your arsenal by holding down right click. In the arsenal tab, you can hold down right click and a menu will pop up letting you upgrade the mod. You will need credits and Endo. Don't worry, I'll be making farming guides on both of them for new players, so don't worry, that's a future episode. But for now, slowly farm Endo and credits through missions and you can use that to level your mods. But of course, what mods should you level? This is extremely important and can be a huge noob trap if you don't know what's what. As I explained earlier, mods have different max ranks. Some are 5, some are 8, some are even 10. The higher max rank mods cost significantly more Endo and credits to max rank as opposed to, let's say, a rank 5 mod, because there is a specific formula for leveling mods that you don't really need to know. Just know that every time you level up a rank, it essentially doubles the credits and Endo cost. It's a bit more than that, but it's just, you get the idea. It basically doubles it. Also, the rarity of the mod determines the cost as well. You get common mods, uncommon mods, and rare mod. You can put 2 and 2 together here. The higher the tier, the more it costs to max rank. My general rule of thumb that I would like to suggest to new players is start maxing out your lower mods that are max 5 ranks. These mods generally give you the best value for money. When you start moving into the higher max rank mods, this is where I do not suggest trying to max rank them until you gain access to better credit farms and better Endo farms later on in the game. Try your best to level them up to a point where it's not so expensive and just use the half ranked mod. Generally speaking, rank 5 or 6 is where you get the most for minimum investment, as the cost will start to double and just get super expensive. That is my advice for leveling mods. Don't waste all your precious Endo on a rank 10 mod. Please save that for later on in the game. You will melt through your Endo and credits. As to what specific mods you should level up, well, for the modding framework I'm about to show in a minute, you can then look at those mods and start leveling those ones. Now, a question you're probably asking is, how do you know where to farm these mods or look for them? My suggestion is heading over to the codex and looking where you can farm said mod, or you can go to the wiki. Unfortunately, you will hear this a lot from me, but the wiki is genuinely your best friend in this game. You will naturally farm mods as you do missions, complete junction rewards, kill certain enemies, and when it comes to aura mods, a nice little tip is you can get aura mods from Nightwave. If you press escape, you will see the Nightwave on the bottom right. This is Warframe's free battle pass that gives you rewards as you complete different tasks. You will gain special credits that can be turned in via the cred offerings tab. Here, Nora will sell aura mods that will rotate every week. And finally, let's talk about the modding framework. In this section of the video, I aim to give you something that you can kind of copy and paste and then expand with your new knowledge. This will apply to weapons and Warframes, and this will also cover your essential new player mods. The Warframe modding framework. The main mods that you need for Warframe in the very beginning are as follows: Intensify, Streamline, Stretch, and Continuity. These 4 mods cover all the ability stats for Warframe. Then Flow for increasing your Warframe's max energy. Abilities cost energy, and having Flow helps you in missions as this increases your maximum amount of energy you can gain. Equilibrium you will get fairly early. For energy sustain is very important. This mod is incredibly important. What it does is it converts every health orb to energy orb and every energy orb to health. This is very useful as health orbs are a bit more abundant than energy orbs in mission. Now, these 6 mods are literally all you need for pretty much every Warframe. Your goal is to try and max rank these mods as fast as possible, except for Equilibrium. Only go for like 4, 5, and 6. And then later on try and max rank it. The aura comes down to what you have available, and if it matches the polarity slot in your Warframe's aura slot. Then if you have the mod capacity for it, I would suggest 2 more mods. One is Mobilize. This is a utility based mod that increases your parkour velocity. If you don't know what that is, check out my episode 2 where I explain this mechanic and why it is so important to know in the early game. You should get this mod by simply just playing the game. And finally, another suggestion, which is a very important mod to get, Energy Nexus. You will need to buy this mod from another player with Platinum, which we'll talk about in future episodes. So it's not for now, it's for later on, but I wanted to mention it in this framework so that when you come back to this and you have the Platinum for it, you can use it. It's a very abundant mod that you only get much later on in the game, and you can buy it for literally like 3 to 5 Platinum from another player. This mod is so powerful because it completely sorts out your energy issues as a beginner. Energy Nexus provides 3 energy regeneration per second. This allows you to constantly regenerate your energy and gives you a much better beginner experience, since you can actually experience what Warframe feels like by casting your abilities reliably and more often. And that is what the full beginner build would look like. Again, you can get Energy Nexus much later, it's not now. This full build here is if you've put in an Orokin reactor. If you don't, start with what I mentioned earlier on, covering all the bases, and then add as you get more capacity. If you are super early on in the game and you feel like you're dying, you can level your vitality in redirection just a bit and put it on your Warframe, but please don't waste your Endo on this. Personally, I don't see the need, and you will drop these mods fairly quickly, but at the end of the day, you play the game and you make sure that it feels a lot better for you, so you can use them at your own discretion. The weapons modding framework. Flat damage mods, fire rate mods for primary and secondary, attack speed mods for melee, crit chance mods, reload speed mods. Because you'll constantly be flipping between weapons and so on in the very early game, you won't have as much capacity. So flat damage followed by fire rate with reload speed and then crit is the perfect formula to follow for all your early game weapons. As you progress, you can start adding other mods and then you just kind of gather some more. My biggest suggestion is don't be afraid to use utility based mods. One of the most popular mods that I use in the early game is reload speed mods, because you can get away with slightly less damage since enemies are a lot easier to kill in the star chart. Overall, just play around, figure out the system, and try new things. Don't be afraid to try new things. And that's modding for you in a nutshell. It's a lot, I know, but once you learn about modding and try it out for yourself, it will all start to make sense. Don't get afraid, take time, read new things, try new things, and that is the beauty of Warframe. As always, a massive thank you to our channel members. Thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. All right, bye-bye. See you in the next episode.